Hello children, how are you all? I hope you are happy and healthy. Children, as you all know, we have started chapter number 10 of your supplementary reader book, A Pact with the Sun, and the chapter name is A Strange Wrestling Match. Why it is called strange? Because it was not a simple match, it was not a simple battle, but it is a fight between the ghost and the person. That is why it is called strange wrestling match. Both combatants were very strong. One is ghost and the other you have already seen, Vijay Singh, one of the wrestler of his village. Now children, as we have discussed a lot of things in this story, and we have discussed that fight was won by Vijay Singh, and that disturbed this ghost. Ghost was totally shocked and disturbed that how he lost this battle. Now he was starting, or you can say he just planned for the conspiracy. He was just starting doing this thing, and then he was invited Vijay Singh to come along with him into his cave to rest. Now here Vijay Singh was also very clever, and whole night he was very cautious. And at the dawn time, you have seen already in the story what the ghost has done. He brought one very stout club and he was just started beating on the head of Vijay Singh. And because as I have told you that Vijay Singh was very clever, so he just placed, in place of him, he just placed over there his cushions and pillows and covered with the coverlet. And he was just watching from the corner. But ghosts thought that he killed Vijay Singh, his enemy. Now he went back to his bed and he just slept. But in the morning, Vijay Singh started talking. So when ghost saw, so he was just shocked and disturbed. And that was really, at that time he was frightened of Vijay Singh. So, and then he flew away to another place. So children, here you can see that we have already discussed these passages yesterday. And today children, the last paragraph of this story is left. Now children, we are going to start. It took several camels from the village to remove the property Vijay Singh had acquired. Now Vijay Singh had acquired whole property, whatever left by that ghost. And that property was full of precious things, precious object. So here Vijay Singh was not at all, you can say, he was so loyal. That is why he returned these precious things or property to the person who was really honored, or means they are the owner of that particular thing. He just returned back. So children, here you can see he returned much of it to the rightful owners. Those who are rightful owner, he had returned all the precious things to that particular owner. He went especially to the old woman, because old woman very carefully, very cautiously, she gave an egg and a lump of salt. That was worked at the night. And Vijay Singh was not only a very mightiest person in his village, but here in this story you can see he was wisest person also. He used his common sense, he used his presence of mind, and he had done you as you have seen in this story, children. Now, he went especially to the old woman, thanked her for her invaluable gift, and asked for her granddaughter's hand in marriage. And it was really, he was so thankful for that woman, because she helped a lot, because she knew that ghost is not a ghost. Or maybe she knew these things. So because she was so experienced, that is why she knew. And after that, what happened? He was so grateful, that lady, and he just asked the hand of his granddaughter for wedding. Now, thenceforth, Vijay Singh was more careful about boasting. It is said that no traveler was ever troubled again in the haunted desert. Now, after that, he was so careful about that. And he just announced that no traveler would go over there in the haunted desert. So as we have discussed, children, this is a story, beautiful story, a very meaningful story. It is written by Indira David, and it is the story of Rajasthan folk. This is folk tale. So now, children, we are moving to the question and answer. And the first question is, how did Vijay Singh use the egg? How did he use the lump of salt? So children, write it down. First question that you can find on page number 51, and we are going to write answers. So children, let's just start writing question. Now children, I am going to write answer number 1. Answer number 1. So children, write it down. Vijay Singh's used the egg. Vijay Singh used the egg to fool the ghost by first giving him a piece of rock. Piece of rock, as we have seen in the story. Now children, to piece of rock to squeeze. To squeeze which the ghost was unable to do. Then he snatched the rock. From the ghost and replaced it with the egg and squeezed and squeezed it with both his hands, and the yellow yolk oozed from around his fingers, and the cracking sound and the cracking of the egg shell created the illusion of the stone being crushed. Without the ghost noticing, here children you can see, without the ghost noticing, he cleaned his hand, he cleaned his hands with sand and disposed of the shell. Then he picked another piece. Then he picked another piece of rock and gave it to the ghost and asked him to squeeze and said it would crumble as it contained salt. So now Vijay Singh showed his cleverness, children, as we have seen in this answer. And one incident we have discussed. Now we are moving to the next incident that was taken place in the first round. So children, now after that, salt, and now the ghost protested. protested that it was only a stone. Only a stone. Only a stone, and tried to crush it, but did not succeed. Okay, children? Now, after that, you just note it down, children. And I am going to remove this answer because it's quite long answer, that you just note it down or take a screenshot. And then we are moving to the next part of this answer. Okay, children? So, succeed, it is okay. Now, succeed. After that, Vijay replaced the stone with the lump of salt. With the lump of salt. Okay? And casually crumbled it. And casually crumbled it and let the stone here. Now we have to remove this. And let the stone drop to the ground, this making the ghost doubt his own powers. He was now mesmerized with the Pahalwan. Pahalwan. Okay, children? He was mesmerized with the Pahalwan. That was really, really amazing thing for him. He was just amused or shocked, you can see. So, children, let's continue the next question. That is, why did Vijay Singh conclude that the ghost would not be a worthy opponent to him? Was he fair in his judgment? So, children, we will write this answer. Now, children, we are moving to the next answer, that is answer number 2. Vijay Singh concluded that the ghost would not be a worthy component, worthy opponent to him because the ghost had started to doubt his ghostly powers, So that is the first point. Now, ghostly powers, he then told the ghost, that there was no point, wrestling with a weakling, and the ghost accepted. His defeat very easily. Now, children, no, he was not fair in his judgment. No, he was not fair in his judgment. No. So now, of the ghost, because he had overpowered him through wrong means. That we have already seen in the story. Now, children, through wrong means, Vijay Singh had fooled him. Vijay Singh had fooled him. And now I think it is not visible. Now here, children, you can see he had fooled him into believing that he was a weakling who could not squeeze could not squeezed fluid or, so I'm going to write over here, fluid or salt out of a rock while he was a Pahalwan with extraordinary strength. So children, complete it. This is second number answer. So complete it, children. Now we are moving to the third question. That is, you can see, why did Vijay Singh ask the ghost to accompany him down next day? So children, let's write second question, third question. Write it down. Now answer number 3, that is, Vijay Singh asked the ghost, asked the ghost to accompany him to town. The next day as his prisoner, as he wanted to display, display him as the trophy of his victory to his people. So children, we have completed. Now we are moving to the fourth answer. What made the ghost believe Vijay Singh was dead? Children, completed answer number 3. And after that, we are moving to the fourth answer. Now children, answer number 4. Answer number 4. What made the ghost believe Vijay Singh was dead? Now before the break of dawn, the ghost approached the bed with a stout club. with a stout club. He hit the club. He hit the club on what he thought. On what he thought. On what he thought was Vijay Singh. Was Vijay Singh's head. Vijay Singh's head, not hearing any groan, not hearing any groan, not hearing any groan, the ghost smiled. The ghost smiled, believing that Vijay Singh was dead. That Vijay Singh was dead. So children, this answer we have completed. This is answer number 4. Children, write it down. Now we are moving to the question number 5. Vijay Singh complained of insect in the cave. What was he referring to and why? So children, write it down. Now I am going to write next answer here. 5. Vijay Singh complained. Vijay Singh complained. Vijay Singh complained of insect. Of insect in the cave. He was referring to the ghost. He was referring to the ghost. He was referring to the ghost who had actually come to kill him. Come to kill him. Come to kill him. At night. At night. At night with a stout club. At night with a stout club, and had clubbed him, and had clubbed him 7 times. 7 times, children. So this is answer number 7. You just completed. Answer number 5, sorry. This is answer number 5. Just completed, children.